Good afternoon, everyone. How are you today? Are you well? I hope so. I'm carrying on. I need to get rid of some of my onion fronds. I'm carrying on from the previous video you saw when I was harvesting chickpeas and lavenders. Get your thoughts straight, Vivi. It's that time of year when there's lots to do in the garden, which is great, love it, but there's also quite a lot to do in the kitchen. And it becomes a real... They're bugging me, let's move a bit. Come on, come round. That's better. It becomes a real juggling act between garden time and kitchen time. You look very wonky. You are wonky. Why are you wonky? Oh, is it that? You still look wonky. Why are you all wonky? Never mind. Yeah, a juggling act between garden time, kitchen time. I would rather be in the garden. Kitchen time for me is a bit of a... It's gotta be done. I'm talking about preserving the harvests. I don't like being cooped up in the kitchen. I don't like getting all hot and sweaty in there. But obviously I do it to preserve my harvest. And then later in the year, I'm so happy that I did. So yes, really busy time of year. Harvesting, preserving, tending to the garden, getting beds ready for winter, getting winter things into the beds, etc, etc. And as I mentioned, I haven't been to the garden properly for a week because of my back. It's much, much better, but it's still... Let's move away from those onions, bring you round again. But it's still a bit... So I'm being really, really careful because I can't afford to put myself out of action for a month. It's been bad enough to be semi out of action for a week. I'm not having it for a month. So all the different jobs that I wanted to do today, mulching, getting more brassicas in, etc, etc, I think I'm probably best to leave, but that's okay because there's another job to do. When I first arrived on plot this morning, one of my neighbours was here and saying, oh my goodness, look at all your tomatoes. And yes, I've got tons of tomatoes to pick. Some of them are so ripe, they're about to drop. The problem when I came the other day to get everything, all the onions on the drying rack, I could have done a big pick that day. But then that would have meant, when I got home, having 2 or 3 hours in the kitchen, standing, working in the kitchen, and my back wouldn't have liked it. So that's always the thing about harvesting, isn't it, is, you know, it's great, but things which need preserving straight away, like whether it's for freezing or bottling, I would rather leave things on the plants a few more days, because they'll stay fresher on there, than harvest, take them home and leave them on the side in the kitchen for 2 or 3 days waiting for me to attend to them. Thinking about that this morning when I arrived, it's like, yes, must do a big tomato pick. But the other thing I want to do, and I'm going to do it with you guys this morning straight away, is this afternoon, whatever time it is my seed saving picking. I think it's one of the most important parts of being a self-sufficient, self-reliant gardener, is saving our own seeds. Look at the issues that folk had this year when lockdown happened, of people not being able to get seeds. I couldn't get compost. That was really annoying. I'm going to make sure I'm on it earlier next year. But not having compost, for me, it wasn't the end of the world, because it turned out, yes, I could dig my ground. I could get it dug. I've got soil to put my seeds into. But if you have no seeds, it's game over, isn't it? You can't grow a vegetable garden out without vegetable seeds. So yeah, my absolute biggest word of advice for anyone who wants to be as self-sufficient as possible, as near it, or self-reliant, is make sure you save your own seeds. So, on that note, let us walk down the garden and begin in the vine bed. We're going to start with the cukes. So what I'm looking for when I'm seed saving, and I have started to look for this way back in the season, I'm looking for the best fruit or veggie on the best plant. That makes sense to me. It's the most vigorous, strongest plant, and it's the best fruit or veggie on that plant. It's going to have the best seeds in. So I've known all for weeks now where I was going to have my cuke seed from. So I left that fruit on the vine, because the other thing for seed saving is I want my seeds to be absolutely mature. If we think of, say, if I'd just taken a little baby cuke, those seeds haven't had a chance to grow inside that cuke. Or like say with the beans, when the pod is just forming, if I picked at that stage, there's little teeny tiny beans in there, they're going to be rubbish as seeds. We want to wait until things have grown and grown and grown. They're at their fattest, they're at their most mature, because that's what would happen in nature. They'd get so mature that they'd drop off the plant, rot into the soil, and then boom, spring up again next year. So I earmarked this one. Now let me just snip it off and show you. I could have waited a little longer with this one in terms of maturity. You see how it's gone basically yellow now. I did have another one earmarked, and it was probably perfect for picking about 2 weeks ago. It's been eaten, I don't know what by, so I'm not going to risk leaving this one. Oh, and there's another one a little further along. So ideally I'd like to have left that another couple of weeks. However, it will still be viable. Pesky, whatever it was that ate. Now the other thing with, lean back, with my seed saving is I like to have at least 2 of whatever if it's something big like this with lots of seeds in it, I like to have at least 2, and that way I'm assured of having a nice bit of a seed harvest from them. With things like beans, that I use a huge amount of, I'll obviously be looking for 100 plus seeds for each bean, which is going to mean 20-30 pods or so. The beans are going to happen another day, but just while we're here, let me see if I can swing you round. Whoopla! We're with the tomatoes. So again, you can see perfectly, can't you? So these are my roasted bean. I'll do that in a second. I'm sitting here right next to the Amish paste. Can you see that? So I'm looking, this one, it's about to split. It's really, really ripe. It's a beautiful shape. It's just the right sort of shape. Look at that, with that slight teardrop on the end. That's great, and I can feel from squeezing it, it's actually getting quite soft. So, in terms of eating, I probably wouldn't want to eat a tomato this soft. I wouldn't waste it. I would if that was the only tomato I had, of course I would. But it's gone over that kind of perfect for picking for eating stage, but perfect instead for seed saving. Wonderful. The Rose de Berne next door. See, there's another one. Actually, I'm going to grab 2. Now, not the biggest. Biggest isn't always best, but really, really ripe. You see the Rose de Berne. The light's behind us. It's that time of year, isn't it, where the light is dipping very quickly, but it's that beautiful, slightly rosy blush to it. And again, it's about to split, and I can feel with this one as well. So soft, it's way ripe. Now I can, look, literally since taking that off and squeezing it, can you see I've split it? No matter, it's for seed saving, doesn't matter. Just through here, I can see the little get stuffed tomatoes. They haven't been very prolific. They're beautiful. We'll do a harvest in a second because I need to harvest. They are beautiful, but they haven't been prolific. 2 of them got sunburned. I've never had sunburned tomatoes in my garden before. I know this year was exceptional. But all these things I add together and I think, do I want to do them next year? So that's the other part of our seed saving, isn't it? Is that plan for next year. I'd already decided before coming here today, pretty much decided over the last couple of weeks really, that Gary's gorgiosities, which are the blight resistant ones, and the get stuffed, I won't grow next year. They haven't been great. When you consider how well the rest of the tomatoes have been doing, the Rose de Berne and the Amish paste have done much better, so I'd rather grow a few more of them next year than the get stuffed or Gary's gorgiosities. Right, that's 2 done. I need to find some Gardener's Delight, because that's my absolute backbone of my tomato growing. And I think a couple of the Gardener's Ecstasy too. I've got the perfect little truss of Gardener's Delight to harvest from here. And I think for seed saving, I'm going to have at least 6 because they're quite small and slightly less seeds in. Yeah, I might grab a couple more. The thing is, when I take the seeds out, if the flesh is any good, I'll eat the flesh, of course I will. Now, little tip, to my right I've now got the Gardener's Ecstasy. They're quite similar to Gardener's Delight, a bit smaller, but I'm not going to risk muddling them up, so I'm going to put them in a separate basket. They are quite a bit smaller, but even so, it's not going to take any extra time to have them too mature in a separate basket. So in terms of the ones I've grown this year and how happy or not I've been with them, so like I was saying, with Gary's Gorgiosity and the Get Stuffed, shan't bother. The random orange cherry that you're next to, yeah, it's been quite prolific, so I think I will save seed from that and maybe have a couple of plants next year. The Gardener's Ecstasy was brand new to me this year to try, and what I liked about it, and this excuse me, this is another thing to bear in mind with not just what seed you're saving but what you're thinking of planting next year. They're a little bit smaller than Gardener's Delight, so they're a bit fiddly for bottling, skinning, bottling, all that. They're a beautiful salad tomato, but the main thing is, well, there are 2 main things. One, they've been super prolific, and they continue to be. Oops, need to tie. I mean, they're 6 feet tall, and new flower trusses coming, so really prolific. But they were the very first ones to ripen out of all the tomatoes. So if you live in an area, like I do, that is prone to blight, as in warm, damp summers, normally, because I'm prone to blight here, it really makes sense to me to grow a tomato that's going to mature and ripen early, just in case blight comes early and wipes out the rest of them. At least I would have some harvest. So I had 2 plants this year. I think next year I'll increase that to 4. And now I'm thinking, yes, but I want more Amish paste, I want more Rose de Berne. I'll aim for 4. I can always dot them elsewhere in the garden. The Gardener's Delight, I've got 2 rows of 8, 16 plants. That always does really well for me. This year, better than ever. So I don't think I would increase the numbers of those, but definitely some of the biggies. Yay! Right. Have I got everything I want? I want 1 more Rose de Berne, probably 1 more Amish paste. Just one more, just one more, just one more. Other seeds to save this year, of course, will be peppers, but they're still green. So I don't really want to save pepper seed until my peppers are orange or red. Oh, paprika I will, but I'll wait till I take them home to cook them anyway, because I'll take the seeds out before cooking in any case. So I don't have to sort of remember that, because it will just happen by accident in the kitchen anyway. Right, harvest time. Good. Well, I'm happy with this little lot for seed saving. The main thing is, now that I know I've got these specifically for seed saving, I can just eat whatever the heck I like from the garden now. So a couple of cucumbers, a couple of the, look at this shape, Amish paste, a couple of rose de berne. I might have a few more. That's the Gardener's Delight. That's the random orange that had no name. They look quite red now. Gardener's Ecstasy. And I forgot this one. This was another volunteer little orange cherry that came up amongst the parsnips. And again, it's been really prolific. And as a volunteer, my thinking is it really wants to grow. So, good. Now that that lot is set aside for seed saving, I can go and harvest with impunity for scoffing. What's very unusual for me, I'm about to harvest, is, oh, cat hair, I'm harvesting for a specific recipe. Normally when I'm harvesting, I'll harvest whatever's ready and then think about it when I get home, turn it into something or preserve it. But today I'm really excited about this. I'm harvesting specifically to have a go at Richard and Paul's roast tomato sauce recipe. I've mentioned it a few times in the last excuse me, couple of weeks as I've been walking around, but today's the day. The only thing is I forgot to actually watch their video yet or get the ingredients. I seem to remember from a stills picture what's in there. I'm guessing, so little shed harvest, onions and garlic. So I've grabbed a couple of white, a couple of red. I think I've got about 4 of each more at home anyway. And then a couple of, oh, these are lovely. Whoops, a couple of my garlic that came out. When did they come out? June, was it? So I've got a couple of cloves. I don't think it'll take 2 cloves. I mean, 2 bulbs. However many cloves in there. I don't think it'll take that much, but I'm getting low on garlic at home anyway, so that's great. Like I say, I don't really know what's in the recipe. Obviously the tomatoes, and then I'm going to pick one extra thing to chuck in. I'll do a batch according to their instructions and their recipe, and I'm going to do another batch with an extra ingredient of my own, so let's go and pick the ingredients. The star of the show is obviously the tomatoes. So, I'm going in for some of my biggies. I'm not really sure how many, so I think let's start off with just a couple from each plant, the most ripe, the ones that came first obviously. Oh, that one's about to split, we'll have that one. Yum yum yum. Where next? One thing I forgot to mention earlier when I was talking about the seed saving, someone mentioned this the other day about cross-pollination because I grow so many different varieties. I worried about that too until about 4 or 5 years or so ago when someone got in touch with me who is a tomato specialist and grows something like 200 different heritage varieties. He said that cross-pollination isn't an issue. Yay! Which is pretty much borne out by practice, isn't it? By my practice. So now on to the Amish pasties. Let's have this one. This is another thing to look for when you're harvesting. That one's rubbed. It's rubbed on one of the poles and it's got a bit of damage, but the rest of the fruit is fine. So do have a look for things like that. Grab it first, get it cooked, preserved, whatever. Obviously cut the nasty bit out, but before it has a chance to completely rot. Then we need to go around the other side. We're going to get some Gary and get stuffed. Okay, so that's Gary off. Oh, it's not got much of a stalk. There we go. We'll have a couple of Gary, and then I only have 2 ripe. Let me show you. Hold on. Where is its stalk? Where's your stock? Oh, excuse me, this is taking forever. Upla. This is the Get Stuffed. Beautiful colours, beautiful markings, but it looks at the moment like I'm only going to have these two. So that's what I was saying about seed saving and next year. I was very happy to try these. They're very pretty, very beautiful, but they're not giving me a decent enough yield. So that's our lovely big sauce making tomatoes. I think that'll do for a first batch, or it'll actually be 2 batches, one with my extra ingredient, one without. And I am sure I'm going to love this sauce because everyone raves about it, and if I do, I will pop back in the next couple of days and harvest all the others that are red and ripe and ready and get a load more sauce made. Right, extra ingredient, come on. I'm hiding. So I'm thinking, what can be more yummy in a roasted tomato sauce than adding a few of the paprika peppers. Yeah. They're a sweet pepper, so like you would think of a bell pepper, but they do have just that little bit more oomph to them. And I think, like I said, I think they'll work beautifully. Oh dear, what's wrong with that one? I've got a mushy one. Uh-oh. Well, that's just dropped a load of seed. I guess I'm going to have some extra peppers here next year. How can I get to that one? Or that one? That one's slightly orange, but I'm having it. I'm having it. Yay! So, is that enough ingredients? Tomatoes, onions, garlic, paprika peppers. That'll do, I think. Oh, right, now I need to go and harvest the Gardener's Delight tomatoes for some more preserving tonight. When you see all your ingredients gathered together like this, gorgeous, great big fat heritage toms, garlic, peppers, onions, it's just beautiful. I never tire of the beauty of the veg coming out of the garden. It just reminds you, doesn't it, that, wow, all the hard work, it's all worth it. All those tough days in spring, really tough days. All the tough days in the summer watering, so worth it. Now, of course, you could probably go to the shops and buy a bottle of one of those famous brands of tomato sauce, but goodness me, wouldn't you rather this way of doing it? Yes, yes, yes. Oh, those Get Stuffed, they are so pretty, aren't they? Wonderful, lovely, gorgeous. It's always the way. This afternoon has disappeared very quickly. There are still loads of jobs to be getting on with in the garden. I've got a mess out there, still got more harvesting to do, but I'm conscious now, because I've picked all those Gardener's Delight tomatoes as well. That's more than a basket full. It's probably about another 10 kilos I've just picked now. I need to get home and get things preserved. And I'm so excited to try the roasted tomato sauce recipe. I had been planning to film myself giving it a go, but it seems daft to do that because obviously Richard and Paul's video is there already, so I'll do a link to that. I was going to do one of those, and I don't know how to do those. Well, I kind of do, but too much of a faff. I'll put it in the box underneath the video, where you always get that little description from me of what's happened today, and then it says more info. If you click on more info, it drops down, and that's why I always put extra bits and pieces. So I will link their video rather than show me making it. Of course I'll report back to you on the taste. Now the thing is, I don't eat a lot of pasta. you know, literally every time I come in the shed, my nose starts itching. Cat allergy. I don't eat much by way of pasta. No particular reason. I'm not one of these, oh, carbs terrifying, or oh, gluten terrifying. Just, I think mainly because it's one of those things I would have to buy, because I don't make my own pasta, don't grow my own pasta. So it's not really ever on my radar, because I don't tend to go shopping much. So what I was thinking for this sauce, instead of pasta, I was thinking probably what I'll do, obviously get it made up, but then I would probably add a load of beans to it, whatever beans I've got to hand, and then just have it as a sauce for, say, a great big pile of brassica leaves. Oh, yum, yum, yum. Because tomatoes and brassicas work beautifully together. I love that combo. In fact, my cabbage pie is a brassica tomato combo. If you've never tried it, believe me, try it. Not just the cabbage pie, but tomato sauce on greens. So yummy. So that's probably how I'll use it. I may treat myself to a little bag of pasta, and likewise a little bit of vegan parmesan. You can't have pasta without parmesan though, can you? So yeah, really looking forward to trying. What I need to do now is shut up, pack my granny trolley. Oh, I have to sort with all the seed-saving tomatoes. They're so ripe, they're going to burst in my bag. Should have thought of that. What I might do is put them in one of my propagator lids to carry them home so they don't get crushed. Gardening, it's all about problem solving, isn't it? How to get your tomatoes home without them squishing everywhere and therefore all the seeds mixing into one another. I'll solve that problem in a minute. So for now, I'm going to say cheerio to you all. Happy seed saving to you. I hope you've got some really beautiful plants earmarked for your seed saving for this year. And don't forget, talk to your neighbours as well, because perhaps they've grown something that you like the look of and you've grown something that they like the look of. If you both save enough seed, then you can do swapsies. Love it, love it, love it. And I always end up swapping seeds, or always end up having more than I need so I can give them away, and it's a joy to do that. Oh, and just to say very quickly, with the tomatoes and the cucumber, I will be fermenting the seeds for seed saving. I will try to remember to do a link for that too, because I've done a couple of videos previously on fermenting both tomatoes and cukes, same method, so I'll just link one of them and then you'll know what I'm talking about. Right, now I really am going to go pack my granny trolley, get myself home, get in the kitchen and prepare for 4 or 5 hours of sweating over the stove. Bring it on. Bye for now, everyone. Take care of yourselves, and I will hopefully see you again really soon.